today we're going to do a series of tests to try to figure out what is the best Canon picture profile to use for sort of a YouTube studio style shot like this. And I'm just sort of working out which things I'm going to use on my channel, which settings in the camera. The other thing that I'm doing as sort of a dual purpose and kill two birds with one stone is I am testing out 3 different audio sources as well. So as well as processing and going through all the different picture profiles, we're going to be checking 3 different audio sources. And one is a Rode Video Micro going straight into the camera. The other is a Zoom F1 with a built-in or adapted shotgun microphone capsule on that, which has been one of my favorite audio setups for YouTube. And I just mount that on the front of the tripod and have it sitting just a few inches from my chest here. And then the third one is a lapel mic going into a little Sony voice recorder, which is generally what I use when I'm out and moving around. So this is the first picture profile from Canon, which is the standard Canon picture profile with no modifications. All right, now we have moved on to the portrait profile, which is supposed to be a little bit more flattering on the skin and the face. I think it really tries to get accurate skin tones, which Canon is known for anyways. I suspect the sharpness is turned down a lot, or at least a little, and I think the colors aren't quite as punchy in this one. So yeah, this is the portrait picture profile. Now we're shooting the landscape picture profile, and I suspect this one won't be ideal. This is landscape supposed to have really punchy colors to bring out the blues in the skies and the green in the grass. So I don't know if the skin tones will be right with this picture profile, but I figure I'll go through them all anyways, because who knows, you might be surprised. So there we have the landscape picture profile. Now we've moved on to the fine detail picture profile, and this is generally when you're taking close-ups or you have an image that you want to draw a lot of detail out of it. Now, I suspect this will not be flattering on the face or the skin, where you kind of want it to be a little bit more blurry and you don't want to see every crease, wrinkle, pimple, depending on what sort of facial imperfections you've got. But yeah, this is the fine detail profile. Now we're shooting in the neutral picture profile, which is certainly a very popular profile with people who like to edit the footage afterwards as far as color grading and applying LUTs, and often people use this as a starting point, decreasing the contrast and decreasing the saturation as a starting point for color grading and sort of cinematic color modification of the footage. So yeah, this is the neutral picture profile. Now we're in the faithful picture profile, and this has long been one of my very favorites. I am a big fan of the faithful picture profile. And what the hell is the autofocus doing? That is so weird. That is like very uncanon-like. All right, let's try that again. Now we're in the faithful picture profile, and this has long been one of my favorites. And when I'm shooting my family and when I'm outside doing travel, I would often use the faithful picture profile. And if it's something I wanted to edit, I would turn down the contrast and turn down the saturation a bit. So yeah, this has always been one of my favorites, but I think for turning something straight out of camera and just publishing it right away, it might be a little bit too flat and washed out. I'm not sure. And just for something different, I've thrown the monochrome in there. I can't imagine ever shooting with the monochrome, but anyways, I put it in there anyways. We'll see what it looks like. Now I'm gonna jump onto the computer and I'm going to go through and see how all this footage looks, as well as listen to the audio. And then I'm gonna come back and tell you what I thought about it. But in the meantime, why don't you go down in the comments below and let me know what you thought about the different footage and the different audio, because I'd be very interested to hear your opinion before you hear mine. All right, I'm back. I have looked at the footage, and the couple of picture profiles that I really liked the look of were the standard and the neutral profile. Now, the standard profile I really liked the colors. I felt that the sharpness was a little bit much. There was too much detail on my face, at least for my liking. and maybe the colors were a little bit too punchy. So now I'm shooting in the standard picture profile. I've reduced the saturation by 1, the sharpness by 2, and the contrast by 1. So this is the first one I'm going to shoot in. And now, and also I decided in the audio, that's the other thing, the audio, I think clearly the Zoom F1 SP gave the best quality audio. But I did think the lapel mic with the little Sony recorder was excellent, particularly when you consider the price point, which is about half the price of the Zoom setup that I've got. And the other thing is the Rode Video Micro, which is a really great microphone, but it had by far the biggest disadvantage of any of the audio setups because I have the Zoom microphone, so you can't see it in frame, or at least you shouldn't be able to, but it is literally, oh, you probably can. I'm just touching it. It's right here. So the closer to the source of the audio, the better you're going to get as far as the sound goes. So the lapel mic was right on me. The shotgun mic is inches from my throat. And the microphone, the Video Micro going into the camera, is an arm length away. So it has a disadvantage as far as that goes. Now I'm in the neutral picture profile again, and this is the other one that I really liked. Even though the looks were actually fairly different, this one has a more muted, sort of pale skin tone, and the standard one had quite a vibrant skin tone. But in the standard one, I've actually backed off the contrast, and I backed off the saturation, and I backed off the sharpness. And in this one, I felt like, in the neutral one, I felt like I wanted to bump up the sharpness, but I kind of like the muted tones in this. So this is just that neutral profile, but all I've done is increase the sharpness by 3. Now I'm going to have a look at these two, and I'll be back in a second. So after looking at those two shots, I think I was most happy with the neutral picture profile with the increased sharpness, but to be honest, I didn't think there was much of a difference between the two profiles once I had modified them. I obviously was tuning my eye into what I wanted the look to be, and I ended up making both of them very, very similar. So we're back in the neutral. But now we need to talk about white balance because I'm not 100% sure that I've got the white balance correct, even though I've set it to 4,000 Kelvin in the camera, and I've checked and I've got a 4,000 Kelvin bulb in the softbox. But the softbox does have a layer of white fabric which softens the light coming through, and that can affect the color temperature of the color. So I'm going to go through a series of shots at different white balances just to just demonstrate how big a deal white balance is and try to pick the best white balance for this light softbox combination. So we were at 4,000 Kelvin, now we've gone down to 3,000 Kelvin, and look at the difference it has made. I mean, this is not a good looking image. So you can see you do have a broad spectrum of Kelvin ratings that you can use, and just going down 1,000 from 4,000 completely ruins the image. So we will bump ourselves up incrementally and try to find that sweet spot at which point we think the image looks most pleasing and most accurate. Now we're at 3,200, and while I think this still looks fairly off, it has improved dramatically just bumping it up by 200. Now we're at 3,400, and I can already see in the screen that my skin tones are looking much more natural, certainly much more natural than they were at 3,000 Kelvin. So we're certainly, I would say, heading in the right direction. 3,800, now we're getting closer to the 4,000 that this was originally set at, and is matching the bulb in the softbox. So we should be close or in the ballpark now, and possibly we're just going to make a creative choice if we need to go one side or the other of 4,000 Kelvin. 4,000 Kelvin, this is the original color temperature matching the color of the bulb in the softbox. 4,200 Kelvin, this is certainly a good way to get used to changing the settings in your camera and get to know your camera a bit. So I don't know, I think it's a good experience for somebody who's just learning about the camera and learning about white balance, just to see the difference that it makes. 4,400 Kelvin, and I'm not sure if the image gets warmer as you go up, or it's warmer when you go lower or cooler. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, you can see I feel like my skin tones are getting warmer, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell on the little monitor. 4,600, and I'm pretty confident that my skin tones are getting warmer as we go up. My skin is looking more I don't know, golden, I guess I would say. 4800, and now I swear I'm almost looking, I think, yellow or orange. Yeah, we're definitely, who knows, I might get it on the computer to look different, but in the display I'm looking really, I don't know, colorful. Do I look like President Trump? I suppose if you're interested in getting an orange spray tan, you could just shoot video like this instead. Now this is 10,000 Kelvin, so it looks like the higher you go, the warmer the image looks, even though you're setting it to a cooler temperature. So 10,000 Kelvin is as cool a temperature as I can set, and that makes the image warmer, which is kind of confusing. So this is really just a video I was shooting for my own purposes to work out the settings that I wanted to use in this camera for YouTube. And I just decided I'd make it a video and share it anyway. So hopefully it was interesting or helpful to some people. What I have decided on is I'm definitely using the Zoom S1 FP, I think it's called, for the audio. I was most happy with that. In the camera, I am going with the neutral picture profile with +3 on the sharpness. And for the Kelvin rating and the white balance, I decided to go with 4600 because I felt that warmed my skin tones up a little bit and just had a more natural look to it. So those are the settings I chose, but depending on your lighting, your camera, a number of different factors, your settings won't necessarily be the same. So I hope this was helpful anyways. It probably demonstrated the process, and yeah. Thanks for watching. Stay creative.